Now the pedal is about to hit the metal. We're going to start doing this teleporting stuff. The first thing we're going to do is I want to do, before we were just disintegrating, I'm gesturing my hands again. This time we're actually generating from one place and going to another. So once it actually goes, in other words, we've got these guys zipping off, right? Let's talk about our amount. We did just a constant amount before, right? We had our particle count. We kept it out here smartly. So let's crank that up for these examples. However, we want, how do I say this? We want it to kind of end towards the end of the animation. In other words, we don't need to generate when we get into the last few seconds the same amount that we did at the very beginning. We kind of do want for most of it. So I'm going to say this. Why don't we fit, and forget about A animation right now. I'm talking about the overall animation, the overall effect. This thing, base animation. Let's take that. I wonder if you can just drag these down. Ooh, channel expression, bonk. Wait, hold on. Channel reference. Yeah. Okay. Well, basically, it's a channel reference. I was hoping Houdini wouldn't actually like cut out the stuff I typed in there, which is annoying. But we basically want to say fitting that between as it goes from about, I'm going to say 70% of the way to 0.95. And notice I'm using this based on 0 to 1 because, the animation may change if we change it and we're going to be able to use this somewhere else. So that's why I usually put a base animation going from the first frame to the end frame, which also you can animate, and we can change this to be a curve. But the stuff that's based on it, we use it as in a 0 to 1 way. So going from 70% to the end of it, let's say that is all of our stuff down to one of our stuff. When I say our stuff, whoops, sorry, too many programming. Our stuff, I'm saying 1. We originally had it about 20,000. For now, let's say 2,000. So this will be 2,000 at the beginning, and then as we get down towards the end of the effect, it'll be, whoops, I'm going to have to cook on. It'll be less and finally going to 0. So that'll be kind of cool as our particle count. The other thing I want to do is lifespan. We want these guys to be longer lifespan, and I normally don't want to screw with this because we're still using it for disintegration. I don't want it to be confusing. So we could make a particle lifespan for disintegration and a particle lifespan for teleport to make things different. What the heck, I actually will. I feel like I wasn't going to do this, but I feel like I'd be cheating and giving you bad practices. The particle lifespan, that worked pretty well for disintegration, but we're going to need longer stuff for the teleportation. So let's call this, I'm going to call this lifespan disintegrate. I would say particle lifespan disintegrate, but that's just not going to fit on there. So let's change that here and here. And I wish all this would fit Houdini. Unfortunately, I can't fit all this on the screen for you, so you're going to have to trust me that it says what it says. And then I'm just going to copy and paste this guy. And then we make lifespan teleport. Lifespan teleport. And that way we aren't screwing up the thing we already did for disintegrate. I was going to just change it, but I can't do that to you guys. If it was just me, I might do it, but we want to keep it general. So notice that since you changed the name, it actually forgets the thing you put in there, which personally I think is a bug. But it should still keep the connection. We'll check to make sure. Lifespan teleport's going to be longer. I'm going to say like 5 seconds. I'm going to copy this real quick. Let's just make sure nothing went horribly wrong here in our disintegrate guy. I'm pretty sure it's smart enough to know that we changed the name, but as you remember, we had the lifespan. Yeah, see, it says lifespan disintegration, so it's fine. I just wanted to make sure. So here's our lifespan. For the teleport, we're going to have a different lifespan. So we're going to go inside of here, and here we're going to change our lifespan to be the teleport lifespan. Cool. Okay, so the next thing we want to do is, I mentioned this before, but I didn't tell you what it was. The end of the last lesson, remember I did something about the blue? And you're like, what's going on? What's he doing with the blue? Now we're going to find out why. Forget about this guy, forget about everybody but this guy right now. These particles, things more fun if you make sounds. The particles that stream off of him, they have a color, right? And they have a color because we gave them a color. Excuse me. Specifically, they have a color ramp from Nage, as you remember, right here. And note that we made them go blue at the end, and we made them go blue before the end. Remember, why would I do such a crazy thing? The idea is, watch for a second. Right about there, you start seeing in some ways these guys at the end of their lifespan. Right now, they're just going along the curve. Let me zoom in so you can see this. They're going along the curve, and this will be fun. They're going along the curve, and then towards the end of their lifespan, they get blue. And some of them are still over here because they're screwing around. Why? This guy is going to be teleporting to this guy. So I want, when they get towards the end of their life, we want them to get sucked right to where they're going to be. Right now, they're just going along this curve, and then just kind of dumping out and disappearing, right? So notice that there's nothing here to make him go into the other object. That's what we're going to change. So we've already done a little bit of it. We had, as you remember, we used right here the force. We changed it a little bit with the blue, went from really strong to less. So there's less, this is the noise, right? So there's less noise as they get more blue. It's hard to fit all this in there. Less noise as they get more blue. This is useful. I'm going to copy this. So we have our noise, and we could also do it in here. I don't think we necessarily need to. And we have our forces. They look pretty cool. So now let's talk about sucking those points into the other object. Now to do that, we need to have our other object. And our other object, as you recall, we do have as I'm going to call that our target object. And we already made an object B, right? I think it's our object B. Yeah, object to teleport. Object B, object to teleport. See that? I want to use him. So we're going to actually object merge him in. Object merge. I'm going to object merge in. It's bigger for you. From object B, object to teleport. Where is it? There. Okay. Our fly, bundle fly into this object. So this guy, which again, best practices, I'm just going to say other object, and I'll tell you why. We're going to do the same thing in the other guy. So you basically just know that it's the other object. We're going to put him into the second, whoops. We're going to put him into, did I already do this? Ah, yeah. Okay, so there's object B. I really should just call him other object. We're going to put him into the other, I'm going to call him other object here. We're going to put him into the other input. And the reason we're going to do that is because we need to, now we're actually going to make use of him. So how we're going to make use of him? Two ways. First thing we're going to use is a target force. So you have target constraint, target relationship. We actually need target force, which I'm sorry is actually called attract now. Pop attract. Boink. This were gas, we'd have some other cool stuff we can do too. But it's called pop attract. So boom, put it in there. We're going to say it's a force that's going to be an acceleration over in goal, the attraction type. We're going to say we're going to attract it to the surface. And now we have these options. That's how you know it's new from Houdini. We don't have to do op input, this, that, and the other. So we're going to say use second context geometry. Now over in the force, it's going to accelerate. Let's make it kind of strong for now. We might back off on this later. And then, remember that thing I copied? We're going to use kind of similar to what we did before. We've got our blue guy, right? This would basically be our kind of strength. And it's as our blue goes from 0 to 1. We're going to have it, let's just initially let it go from 0 to 1, be 0 to 1. We might change this later to be like starting out at 0.5 and going to something else. But for now, I'm initially going to do that. I'm going to copy this for a second because I want to know, what do we multiply that by? What's the thing? It's probably called force scale. But if you want to make sure you can, I don't know if you can see it says pass through. You do that and it passes, it shows all these things. I copied the stuff we typed because you notice it blows it away. And we didn't want to do that. Looks like you can change all these things. So I'm going to change. The thing I'm going to change is, actually this is pretty cool. We could change a lot of that stuff. Force scale is the one, like we said, is interesting. So I'm going to take the force scale, multiply it, times equals, times the strength. So now we're saying when the blue gets towards 1, the force scale starts getting stronger and stronger and stronger. It starts out at 0 times 10 and goes up to 1 times 10. So we're going to do that, and that'll attract them to the spots in that. Now, they aren't going to be perfect, and they aren't going to wrap around the whole thing. That's when I'm going to do the big magic trick of the double reversal, which I keep hinting at, but not actually saying. But once they get there, we're gonna use another. I'll just multiply it by this directly. We're gonna use another pop to actually say what they do once they get to the objects. We don't want them like floating around. This is teleportation. We don't want them to still hanging out once they get there. We actually want them to stop. So first, let me just show this because this is gonna be fun. So everything's exactly the same until these guys start turning blue. Once they get to the end of their life, bum, ba-dum, bum, ba-dum, bum, they start turning blue, and this is where we're going to see things happen a little more powerful. They're going to start being sucked towards the destination guy. I don't know if we can see it. Well, maybe we'll make it a lot stronger so it's really obvious. So these guys are getting, as they get blue, they get a force towards the object. Oh, that looked like they were going the wrong way. Did we connect in the wrong object? Let's see it in full speed. It looks like they're going back there. If I were a betting man, I'll bet you we had it as a different input. Check really quickly. Aha, third input. Let's change that. What did I say? Second input? Third. Duh. So let's take a look now. Let's see what happens. So you get them, they go over, and they're going to, once they turn blue, they hope we should suck into this over here, which is going to be our fly, our guy we're teleporting into. So watch these little blue guys. Yeah, there we go. See, they're all kind of, so instead of dumping out, they're all beginning to suck into the place. It's almost might be too strong because now some of them are being sucked from there, but I don't know. I kind of like that. Okay, so that's fun. And it's beginning to make my computer go a little slow. So what else do we want to do? We don't want them to go into and through. Right now, there's nothing to say stop when they actually reach the other object. So we need to do, we need them to die when they hit the surface. So we're going to need something called a pop collision. And when I say pop collision, I mean pop collision detect. There's actually a couple different ways to do this. I'm just going to say a pop collision detect because when you do this, I'll put that right there. Don't worry about where it's going to yet. We can say what we want to do when we get there, and I'm going to say we actually want them to die when they get there. Sounds cruel, doesn't it? So when they actually make it to their place, or get to their spot when they hit it, I'm going to say they actually go there, and let's color them when they get there. Let's color them white so they blend in with it. Move them there and then kill them. This basically means there'll be one last frame when you see them before they're actually done and dead. And they're going to go to, let's try the third context geometry. I actually kind of normally would say make that a DOP object and have another DOP object in there, which also kind of feel like that's better, but let's find out. Let's actually do this. I'll go to the next lesson, don't worry. So let's see what happens. If this happens right, we should see, once they start hitting there, them dying, which might give us some kind of outline of the object. If not, we'll bring it as a DOP object. So we're going to wait until we start seeing blue guys. And do you see it'd be really hard to tell, but see there's a little bit of a blackness there, roughly in the shape of a teapot. The idea is they're getting there and they're going bam, you can really kind of see it there. And they're getting there and hitting the surface of the teapot and dying instead of just getting sucked into the center there. Let's see that again whoops. Let's see that again with our object. Just so we know our there's our teapot. Let's put them right there so we can see them. Now let's go inside here. Wow, I didn't realize how big this whole thing was relative to our little guys. So our guys are going over and they're going to be hitting the surface of the, oh, actually, you know what? Let's get fancy. Let's just go out here, show them here, and we should be able to see it. There we go. So this gives you a better idea what's going on. I'll make it big for you. So the blue guys are going to go over there, swirl around our teapot, and when they actually get close enough to it, they're actually going to die, so that we don't have any guys going into the teapot so much. So you see that? That's good, clean fun. Now your first thought is, now wait a minute, this won't necessarily match up exactly with the teapot, with the teleportation of the teapot, and that's where we're going to do the same trick, but in reverse, going the other way. Yeah, fast motion, it's a lot more obvious. Okay, so come back for the next lesson, and we'll start moving to the next little bit. It's fun just to watch that. But the cool part is when they go both ways, and we'll reverse time. I guess I might as well give away the trick. Okay, so the big trick we're going to do is we're doing this here, right? We're going to do the same thing in reverse from the teapot, but then we're going to reverse time. In other words, we're going to bake it out and show it in reverse, so the particles would go, it basically, imagine this happening. Yoink. These go exactly to where the, in this case, generating object is, right? Because they're going in reverse. So it looks like they're coming off of the teapot and going to the exact magical spots of that. And then we'll kind of crossfade these things. So there'll be guys going this way, guys going this way. And you won't really notice that it isn't exactly the same guys pointing there. But in the end, you'll get this kind of beautiful thing where it looks like points are moving one place and hitting the others. We'll crossfade it, use the same animation, and it'll all be magical. Okay, come back for the next lesson, and then we'll hit the next bit in teleportation.